Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Stephanie Yin, psychologist and psychotherapist with Rare Minds, the charity providing support and counselling to those living with rare conditions. I'm here to talk with you today about living with the impact of a CSF leak. Having worked with people affected by CSF leaks, I'd like to acknowledge some of the ways in which this condition may impact you and share suggestions on managing your well-being. I'd like to start by reminding you that there is no health without mental health, and that's because the relationship between physical and mental health is well established. We know that poor mental health can impact on our physical well-being, our capacity to look after ourselves, and our level of resilience. Poor physical health is also linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety. Therefore, looking after your emotional well-being should be a key part of managing living with the impact of a CSF leak, whether you're living with an active leak, recovering from treatment, or supporting someone who is. Rare Minds' vision is that the psychological and emotional aspects of living with a rare condition are recognised as an integral part of rare condition care, with access to specialist quality services for all. Before we jump into practical tips, I want to briefly name and acknowledge what makes living with a CSF leak challenging. Living with a CSF leak brings a range of emotional and practical challenges that can affect all areas of life. For many, the journey to diagnosis is long and frustrating, often involving multiple tests and specialist visits. This can leave people feeling unheard and unsure where to turn. Because CSF leaks are rare, there's often low awareness even among healthcare professionals. As a result, many people find themselves in the role of patient expert, having to research their own condition, advocate for themselves, and educate those around them. Having to explain your condition repeatedly can leave you feeling exhausted and isolated. On a day-to-day basis, the emotional toll of managing fluctuating, debilitating symptoms is significant. Managing pain, fatigue, or the need to lie flat can disrupt routines, work, and social life. It can also be hard to balance responsibilities while dealing with uncertainty about symptoms or recovery. Relationships can also be tested. Navigating family life, employment, and healthcare interactions while managing an invisible illness requires energy and emotional resilience. Whether it's explaining the condition to family, managing changing roles at work, or navigating healthcare systems, there can be a persistent tension between wanting to meet life's demands and needing to rest or withdraw. And it's common to feel pressure to appear normal, even when struggling with invisible symptoms. Logistically, managing a CSF leak may require travel to specialist centres and time off work. For many, the burden of managing appointments, treatment, and recovery becomes a full-time job in itself. Fear of recurrence is also common, as even after successful treatment, many live with the ongoing anxiety that a leak could return. And this also highlights the multiple uncertainties that living with a CSF leak brings. Importantly, the symptoms are not just physical. There's a complex interplay between physical symptoms like pain and fatigue and psychological symptoms such as low mood, irritability, or emotional lability. Persistent pain and fatigue are common and difficult to manage. They affect not only physical function, but also self-identity, independence, and overall well-being. Given the many challenges living with the impact of a CSF leak can present, it's understandable and likely that at some point or another in your CSF leak journey, you've experienced feelings of anxiety, sadness, anger, frustration, resentment, but maybe also hope and relief. These are just some examples of the feelings that you might recognize. Some of these feelings may have come up around the time of diagnosis, but may still be present many months and even years later. This is because coming to terms with the diagnosis and living with the impact of a CSF leak is a process that happens over time. If your loved one is the one living with a CSF leak, you will have your own emotional reaction to the condition and the impact it has had on them. It's important to remember that feelings are not good or bad, even though we may be frightened of our feelings because of the thoughts that accompany them. Feelings are our brain's attempt to make sense of what is happening to us. It is not always easy to work out what they're trying to tell us or how to respond, but try not to judge your feelings or yourself for having them. Just notice them. Learning to accept the feelings we have, be curious about where they're coming from and how best to respond and look after ourselves in the face of them are important skills which start with giving our feelings airtime. This helps them feel listened to and can also be less tiring overall than trying to keep them at bay. Bear in mind that feelings are messy. It's not often we have just one feeling about something or someone. For example, you may feel that something is a positive thing to do, such as having a particular operation or treatment, but also be scared and want to avoid it or wish it were different. Becoming more comfortable or accepting of our own mixed feelings is not only very helpful, but can also be a relief. It's understandable to feel anxious when living with the unpredictability of a CSF leak. There's often uncertainty about symptoms, treatment, recovery, and the possibility of recurrence, and that can take a real emotional toll. One helpful approach is to work with the uncertainty rather than trying to eliminate it. We can't always control what's happening in our bodies, but we can choose how we respond to it. Start by focusing on the basics. Things like rest, hydration, nutrition, and pacing can create a steadier foundation. It also helps to make deliberate choices. That might mean adjusting plans, asking for help, or setting small, manageable goals. These practical steps can reduce overwhelm and give a sense of direction. Try to gently shift your focus towards what you can control, whether that's planning your day around your energy levels or using techniques that help you stay calm. Relaxation tools like breathing exercises, grounding techniques, or guided meditations can be powerful supports. They don't make anxiety vanish, but they can stop it from spiraling. You can find guidance and videos on these on our Wellbeing Hub by following the QR code. And because plans don't always go as expected, it's helpful to have a plan B and even a plan C. That could be as simple as knowing when you might need to reschedule something or who you can call for support. Finally, don't do this alone. Identify people who can help, whether it's healthcare professionals, family, friends, or peer support groups. Just knowing who's in your corner can ease some of the pressure. Pain is one of the most difficult aspects of living with a CSF leak. It's not just the physical discomfort, it's the emotional and mental drain that comes with it. Pain can either be acute and last for a short and specific period of time, or it may be more chronic. Any pain which is continuous, severe, or for which you do not have an explanation always warrants talking to your medical professional about. But here are a few suggestions that may help you manage pain more compassionately. Try using body position to your advantage. Many people find that laying flat helps relieve symptoms. So rather than seeing this as time wasted, reframe it as proactive self-care. Time your body needs to recover and regroup. And there might be other physical actions you can take. For example, using hot water bottles, having a hot bath, stretching, gentle walking, using cold compresses, even gentle massage, including self-massage. Distraction can also be a powerful tool when dealing with pain. Engaging with music, gentle movement, or an absorbing task can reduce how intensely pain is experienced. And that's not because it's all in your head, but because your brain's focus is being gently shifted away from the intensity of the pain. Breathing and grounding techniques are also very helpful here. And these aren't about ignoring pain, but about reducing the emotional distress that comes with it. You'll find some calming exercises on our Wellbeing Hub, including practices for managing pain flare-ups. Finally, remember the importance of self-compassion. Pain can quickly trigger self-criticism. Why can't I cope better? Or I should be doing more. Try noticing this inner voice and offer yourself kindness instead. I'm doing the best I can given how I'm feeling. Pain is hard enough without adding pressure or blame. Fatigue is also common when living with the impact of a CSF leak, and it's more than just tiredness. Fatigue is a deep, widespread exhaustion that rest doesn't always fix. And it's one of the most difficult symptoms to explain to others because it's invisible. Symptoms of fatigue can vary for each person, and it can include feeling tired, poor concentration, difficulty sleeping, muscle pains, breathlessness after light activity, and lack of interest in things you usually enjoy. Some of the ways you can try to support your energy levels include getting to know your energy patterns. By tracking your energy over a few days, you might notice windows where you have more clarity or stamina. Try to schedule essential tasks during those times and rest during dips. But focus on pacing over pushing. It can be tempting to do as much as possible on a good day, but this often leads to a crash. Try breaking tasks into smaller chunks and allow time to rest before you need to. And plan with flexibility. Build in recovery time after activity. Think about having buffer days after appointments or travel, for example. You can also consider alternatives like phone or video calls instead of in-person appointments. Give yourself permission to rest, because resting isn't lazy or weak. It's what your body's asking for. If it helps, create a restful space. Soft lighting, quiet, maybe something comforting to hold or listen to. And finally, try to communicate your needs. Fatigue is invisible, so others may not understand it. Sharing your needs with those around you can help manage expectations and allow you to maintain boundaries with less guilt. Relationships can be affected by a CSF leak in many ways, because we all deal with difficult situations differently. A long-term condition doesn't just impact the person experiencing symptoms. It also affects partners, family members, and friends. This shared stress can sometimes lead to tension, misunderstandings, and even conflict. You might find that some people were very supportive in the early days, but now struggle to understand the ongoing toll of the condition. Because CSF leaks are often invisible, it's easy for others to forget how much you're still coping with. This can feel invalidating or isolating, especially when your energy for explaining is low. Changes in family roles can also be difficult to navigate. You may no longer be able to do what you used to, whether that's work, household tasks, or childcare. And adjusting to these shifts can bring up frustration, grief, or guilt for everyone involved. Some people naturally withdraw from social contact during illness, not out of choice, but because of pain, fatigue, or feeling overwhelmed. Unfortunately, that withdrawal can increase feelings of loneliness, especially if others don't understand what's happening. But we know that supportive relationships can be hugely protective. They can boost emotional well-being, foster resilience, and make this journey feel less lonely. So it's worth thinking about how to nurture the relationships that matter to you. These suggestions might help. Try to keep communication honest and open, even when it's hard. Let people know how you're feeling and what you need. And give others the tools to understand. Signposting to trusted resources like the CSF Leak Association website can help loved ones grasp what you're going through. without needing to explain everything yourself. You may also have to manage your expectations. Remember that not everyone can support you in the same way. Some people are great listeners, others are more practical. Knowing who's good for what can help reduce frustration. And building a broader support network helps, like online forums where people with lived experience can connect. Sometimes it helps just to know you're not the only one. But use social media mindfully. Online communities can offer validation, but they can also be overwhelming. It's okay to step back if you notice it's leaving you feeling anxious or drained. Above all, remember that it's okay to ask for help, and it's also okay to set boundaries when you need space. Relationships may need to adapt, but they don't have to disappear. Relationships with healthcare professionals can sometimes be complex, especially if at any point in your journey you've felt dismissed, disbelieved, or left in the dark. These experiences can understandably lead to frustration, mistrust, or even dread around appointments. But it's important to remember that this is likely to be a long-term relationship. Where possible, it's worth investing in building trust, gradually and on your own terms. You are the expert in your experience, and part of this process involves healthcare professionals getting to know you. What works, what doesn't, what matters most to you. And if something hasn't been heard or doesn't feel right, say it again. It's okay to be clear and assertive. Treat it as a two-way relationship. It's not just about receiving care, but also about shaping it together. Keep communication open and practical. You may find it helpful to make notes before appointments or write down questions. Keeping a notebook or symptom diary can help you feel more prepared and gives you something concrete to refer to in an appointment. And don't be afraid to revisit things. Knowing who to contact and how, whether that's a named consultant, neurologist, your GP, or a specialist nurse. Clear routes of contact reduce the stress of chasing information. And don't be afraid to use services like PALS, the Patient Advice and Liaison Services, if something isn't working. Remember, you are allowed to speak up. It's important to name that treatment for a CSF leak, whether it's surgery, an epidural blood patch, or a diagnostic test, can itself be emotionally and physically demanding. Recovery is rarely linear. It takes time. It can bring progress, setbacks, hope and frustration, sometimes all in the same week. But your recovery journey is your own, and there is no one right way to go through it. Try to be patient with your body as it heals and acknowledge the psychological toll of everything you've been through. Bodies are surprisingly adaptive and creative, and that includes your nervous system. Healing is not just physical, it's emotional too. And if you're supporting a loved one through treatment or recovery, know that you may also experience your own feelings of helplessness, worry, and burnout. That's normal. What matters most is patience, compassion, and staying connected through the ups and downs. Asking for support may not feel easy, especially if it's not been a good experience in the past. But practical support is invaluable and can help alleviate some stresses. Start with accepting offers. If someone offers help, accept it, even if it's not something you initially asked for. And be flexible. Understand that people may not always be able to help in the way you envisioned, so be open to different types of support. It can also help to be clear about your needs. You could start by identifying specific tasks and making lists of the tasks you need help with, such as transportation to medical appointments, household chores, meal preparation, or managing medications. Then offer specific suggestions. Instead of saying, "I need help," try saying, "Could you help me with grocery shopping on Saturdays?" Or can you drive me to my doctor's appointment next week? Providing time frames or deadlines for tasks also helps others plan their assistance. And communicate clearly. Explain exactly what you need help with and why it's important. Being specific helps others understand how they can assist you. Remember that what's obvious to us may not be obvious to others. Learning to speak up about what we need opens the possibility that we will be responded to in the way we hope. And if you get knocked back, don't take it personally. Think if there's anyone else you could approach instead and try again. Be honest and open. Share your condition by explaining your CSF leak and how it affects your daily life. People are more likely to help if they understand the challenges you face. Finally, allow yourself to be vulnerable, because it's okay to express how you feel and why you need support. Let them know it's difficult to ask for help, but it's necessary. And if you find it hard to ask for support, try reframing it to yourself as offering someone the opportunity to help you out. Hopefully you've found some of the suggestions and tips shared in this video helpful. However, it's important to recognise that sometimes, despite our best efforts, managing the impact of a CSF leak can still feel overwhelming, and that's okay. If you're feeling overwhelmed or in crisis, please don't hesitate to reach out for professional support. You can contact dedicated crisis services like the Samaritans, available 24 hours a day, by phone or text on 116 123. Alternatively, you can call NHS 111 and select the mental health option. The CSF Leak Association and the Rare Minds Wellbeing Hub also offer further signposting to mental health organisations that can support you in crisis, as well as help arrange talking therapies if that's something you'd like to explore. Please remember, you are not alone.